Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're untangling the massive 350-year-old history of the Merck name, and we're diving deep into the life of a visionary leader who proved something pretty incredible, that putting people before profits is actually the ultimate business strategy. We're going to explore a fascinating timeline of scientific breakthroughs, global conflict, and uncover a corporate philosophy that literally forever changed modern medicine. We've got 5 quick stops on our agenda today. The tale of 2 Mercks, a new era of research, wonder drugs in war, medicine is for the people, and finally, an enduring legacy. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Tale of 2 Mercks.
So let's kick things off by answering a question you might not even know you had. Why are there 2 totally distinct global pharmaceutical giants named Merck? Well, it actually starts way back in 1668 when Friedrich Jacob Merck took ownership of the Angel Pharmacy in Darmstadt, Germany. Fast forward a couple of centuries to 1891, and a family member named George Merck expanded the business overseas, setting up an office at 62 Wall Street in New York. But then World War I happened. Because of the conflict, the United States government actually confiscated the U.S. subsidiary in 1917, which permanently split the American branch from its German parent company. The modern result of that split, it's honestly fascinating. Today, we literally have 2 massive, completely separate corporate entities. The original German company, Merck Group, holds the rights to the name globally, except in the US and Canada, where they operate as EMD. Meanwhile, the American spinoff, Merck Co, operates under the name MSD outside of North America. So you've got 2 titans of industry sharing a name and a heritage, but operating completely independently. All right, Section 2, a new era of research. Now, let's zoom in on the American branch, Merck Co, and the towering 6'5" figure who would completely humanize the corporation, George W. Merck. Born in 1894 in New York City, George grew up in Llewellyn Park, New Jersey. He graduated from Harvard with a chemistry degree in 1915 and actually intended to go to Germany for his doctorate. But the outbreak of World War I made that impossible. Instead, his dad told him to just come on into the shop until the war blew over. George later joked, "I never did, and I'm still in the shop." He ended up succeeding his father as president of the company in 1925. Now here's where it gets really interesting. George got his relentless drive for experimentation from a rather famous childhood neighbor. Growing up, young George actually had access to Thomas Edison's workshop. He used to just slip in and out of the lab, and the legendary inventor, who playfully nicknamed the gangly kid Shorty, gave him this exact piece of advice. It instilled this deep, deep belief in serendipity and persistent scientific investigation that George would later hardwire directly into his own company. Driven by that boundless curiosity, Merck opened a revolutionary laboratory in 1933 in Rahway, New Jersey. Now, at the time, academic scientists often turned their noses up at industrial research. But George completely changed that. He created this campus-like atmosphere specifically designed to lure top-tier academics by offering them unprecedented freedom. They were given the latitude to follow promising leads, whether they had an immediate practical application or not, and crucially, they had the absolute freedom to publish their findings. Moving right along to Section 3, Wonder Drugs and War. Merck's unique, interdisciplinary approach sparked a literal golden age of medical breakthroughs, transforming the company's output just in time to face the horrors of a global conflict. In just a few short years, they synthesized vitamin B1, which massively reduced the incidence of beriberi. They revolutionized animal health in 1948, and in 1950, commercially synthesized cortisone for rheumatoid arthritis. But perhaps the most incredible achievement? In the 1940s, Merck funded the discovery of streptomycin, the very first effective treatment for tuberculosis. Recognizing the monumental public health implications, Merck completely relinquished their exclusive patent on this breakthrough antibiotic just to ensure maximum widespread patient access. By 1950, TB deaths in the U.S. had plummeted by nearly 50%. And George's leadership extended far beyond commercial drugs. During World War II, President Roosevelt actually appointed him director of the War Research Service. This was a highly secretive civilian agency charged with heading up all U.S. biological warfare research and defense. He was the one responsible for drawing together scientists from the Army, Navy, and civilian life to protect the country. For those monumental efforts, Secretary of War Robert P. Patterson presented George Merck with the Medal of Merit in 1946, which is the nation's absolute highest civilian award. The company was also astonishingly proactive during the war. Anticipating the very real danger of a Japanese occupation in the Dutch East Indies, Merck Co. rapidly moved huge stores of cinchona bark, which is the crucial source of malaria-fighting quinine, from Java and Sumatra straight to the U.S. They turned a massive chunk of it directly over to the government, securing the military's vital supply before the War Department even fully appreciated the strategic threat. That is next-level foresight.
Section 4. Medicine is for the people.
After guiding his company through a world war and a literal revolution in antibiotics and synthetic vitamins, George Merck crystallized his life's philosophy in the early 1950s. By 1952, Merck had grown into the nation's second-largest pharmaceutical supplier. The impact of his leadership was so profound that his face famously graced the cover of Time magazine that August, illustrating a massive feature on the American drug industry. And the caption on that cover hinted at the ultimate credo he had established just a couple of years earlier. So the absolute crucial point to take away is this ultimate credo, drawn from a famous speech he gave at the Medical College of Virginia back in December 1950. He stated it so clearly. We try to remember that medicine is for the patient. We try never to forget that medicine is for the people. It is not for the profits. And listen, this wasn't just some slick PR move. It was the actual operating system of his company, perfectly fusing his keen business sense with a really deep compassion for human suffering.
But he wasn't ignoring business reality either. In the very next breath of that same speech, he added, "The profits follow, and if we have remembered that, they have never failed to appear." He simply reordered the priorities. He argued that if a corporation genuinely focuses on advancing human life and freeing people from disease, the financial success will naturally, inevitably follow.
Finally, Section 5, an enduring legacy. George W. Merck passed away from a cerebral hemorrhage in 1957 at the age of 63. But we can distinctly trace how his humanitarian creed survived into the modern era for both Merck companies. First off, on a personal level, George was an incredible conservationist. He bought 2,600 acres of forest and farmland up in Rupert, Vermont. Except during extreme fire danger, he always kept this vast expanse of land completely open to the public for hunting, hiking, and camping. 2 years after he died, this stunning property was officially renamed the Merck Forest in his honor, and today it's still out there educating the public about sustainable farming. And on a corporate level, decades after his death, his company echoed his exact philosophy. In 1987, Merck CEO Dr. Roy Vagelos announced a totally groundbreaking public-private partnership. They committed to donating Mectizan, a drug that cures the devastating parasitic infection known as river blindness. And they didn't just donate a little bit. Their commitment was to provide the drug entirely for free, as much as needed for as long as needed, to help eliminate the disease entirely. Honestly, think about how rare that is in modern corporate America.
That ethos continued right on into the 21st century. In 2007, shortly after the FDA approved Gardasil, a vaccine that prevents cervical cancer, Merck committed to donating 3 million doses over 5 years to support vaccination programs in the world's lowest-income nations. It's a completely direct line back to George Merck's core belief that life-saving knowledge must benefit all of mankind. So as we wrap up this explainer, looking back from a 17th century German pharmacy to the synthesis of wonder drugs to the unprecedented relinquishing of patents for the public good, I want to leave you with this thought. As we face new, complex diseases and massive global health disparities today, how can the titans of modern medicine apply George Merck's 1950 philosophy to the challenges of tomorrow? If medicine is truly for the people, how must the industry adapt? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep learning and keep asking the big questions.